Good evening. We are going to call this evening's proceedings to order. May I have a roll call, please?
Commissioners Brodsky, Rothman,
Here.
DePlacido,
Here.
Vaughn, Brown,
Here.
Weingrad,
Here.
Henry,
Here.
DePone,
Here.
Carswell, Spiegelman,
Here.
Bowl,
Here.
Schreiber,
Here.
Bowman,
Here.
Vice President Vahey,
Here.
President Hecker.
Here. Please note that Commissioners Brodsky, Vaughn, and Carswell are excused. I ask that we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Yeah, just a quick note, the Commissioner Spiegelman may need to leave the proceedings this evening to deal with a family medical matter.
Thank you, President Hecker. I
Thank
hope I
you.
don't have to leave.
And before I turn it over to Solicitor Clark, I will ask for a motion to open the conditional use hearing. Do we have a motion?
Motion to open.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. All those in favor of opening the hearing, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The hearing is now open, and I will turn to Solicitor Clark.
Thank you, Commissioner Hecker. This is a conditional use hearing. The applicant is Shavram Realty Partners, LLC. This hearing has been properly advertised. The property is located at 1209 Rydal Road in Abington Township, Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, and as identified as Montgomery County tax parcel number 30-00-61132-00-2. This is an application requesting conditional use approval pursuant to Section 301 of the Abington Township zoning ordinance to permit use E10, life care facility continuing care, and use E12, nursing home, in the R1 low-density residential zoning district. The applicant is represented this evening by attorney Matthew McHugh. Commissioner Hecker and members of the public who are present this evening, over the last week or so, the township has received various requests from members of the public and neighbors of the property for party status in this matter. After reviewing the party status requests that had come in and doing a little back-of-the-envelope math, we began to realize that those parties who were interested in this application would potentially exceed the capacity of this room. Attempts were made last week to secure another facility that would be large enough to accommodate everyone who wanted to participate, while also having the facilities that we need for this to be going out over Zoom and for there to be a virtual option. Although we were able to identify a couple of options, mostly school district properties, we were unable to secure them in time for tonight's hearing. Based on the deadlines that we have under the municipality's planning code, it was discussed with Board President Hecker and Manager Manfredi about opening the hearing this evening and essentially just dealing with the issue of party status for those individuals who want to become parties to this matter. We discussed it earlier today with Mr. McHugh. He discussed it with his client, and they were in agreement that essentially what we're going to do this evening is we are going to open the hearing. We are going to address the issue of party status, and then we are going to recess to a future date when we can locate at a facility large enough to accommodate everyone who is interested, that also has Zoom and other virtual capabilities. By agreement with Mr. McHugh, subject to his review of those individuals who are listed, any resident who lives in a property that is 750 feet or less from the subject property will automatically be granted party status. That means you will not need to come forward and indicate why you want party status to this matter. If you are 750 feet or less, you will automatically be granted party status. Anyone who is 751 feet or above will need to come forward this evening and state the reason why you believe you should be given party status. And then Mr. McHugh, based on your address, will have the right to ask you questions, and then a determination will be made as to whether or not to be granted party status. Before I explain to those in attendance about what would qualify someone for party status, I just want to make sure that everyone here and everyone watching on Zoom understands that every interested party will have the opportunity at the closing of testimony to make public comment. When the case is over and before the commissioners make their decision, everyone will have the opportunity to make public comment. So if the reason you may be asking for party status is because you simply want a chance to voice your opinion on this application, you don't need party status to do that. What party status allows you to do is to become literally a party to the application, and you will be able to question witnesses who've been offered by Mr. McHugh, offered by anyone else, offered by the township. You will be able to present your own testimony and your own evidence. And if there is an appeal in this matter, you will have an automatic right to be part of the appeal. Party status doesn't mean that you get to make public comment multiple times during the hearing. It's that you're actually a party to the hearing. The Municipality Planning Code grants party status to any person affected by the application who has made a timely appearance of record before the Board of Commissioners, and any other person, including a civic or community organizations, that are permitted to appear by the board. The Board of Commissioners shall have the power to require that all persons who wish to be considered parties enter their appearances in writing on forms provided by the board for that purpose, and we have provided those forms for you this evening. Any person affected by the application has a right to appear before the board if they meet the test of having a direct, immediate, pecuniary, and a substantial interest in the subject matter, while still other persons may be permitted to appear as parties in the discretion of the board. Once granted party status, the party will have an automatic standing on appeal, which normally requires a direct, immediate, pecuniary, and a substantial interest in the subject matter. In order to be granted party status, your interest in this matter should be something more direct than that of a general citizen's interest in seeing that the code is complied with, or just generally being opposed to a project. The person seeking party status must be affected by the application. The board will consider such things as the proximity to the proposed development or the property, the concerns raised, noise, traffic, property values, etc. So with that as a backdrop, and with that as an understanding of what you will need to show as to be granted party status, is there anyone present this evening who is outside of 750 feet who wishes party status in this matter? Okay, there are more than a few hands, so I think the easiest thing to do is we're just going to start right here. Can you come to the podium, please?
Before we do that, Mr. Parker, I've got the point of order.
Okay.
So Al,
Can you please, can you please identify yourself for the record?
Absolutely. Gail Weilheimer, 1282 Rydal Road. I have been granted party status, but with a number of the other neighbors who were coordinating individuals at the Planning Commission meeting, we did submit pretty much the exact same form you've handed us, with the exception it does not have the township logo at the top. When we were notified about an hour and a half before the meeting that this was going to be converted to a just addressed party status, we did try to call off as many residents who were being granted party status as possible, so A, we did not overwhelm the room, and B, we don't inconvenience those people unnecessarily. So since those individuals have been granted party status by agreement between the township and the applicant's attorney, have already filled out a form similar but not identical to this form, do they need to still fill out this exact form even though you have all of their information?
We would ask that they fill out the form that we have provided. Because of the number of individuals who are seeking party status, it'll be, we're looking to have a uniform form that will be easier for us to manage if this matter is appealed. If someone does not fill out the form, that does not mean they're going to be denied party status. Mr. McHugh, on behalf of the applicant, has reserved the right to look at those who we are saying automatically get party status at 750 feet to determine whether or not they are actually 750 feet. Again, in the interest of having a uniform document out there for Mr. McHugh to review, for all of us to review, that's why we're asking people to fill out the form. But if you don't, we're not necessarily going to deny someone party status. In addition, if you're not present this evening but want to fill out that form prior to the next hearing, that will be fine as well. We will accept that as well before we begin the testimony.
Okay. And the only other request we would make, in addition to all of the individuals who are here requesting party status that were not automatically granted, there are a number of people, it looks like 21 participating on Zoom. If when you finish with the people that are present in the room, if we can make any inquiry on the people on Zoom to determine if any of those are requesting it.
We intend to do that.
Okay, thank you.
And I will, again, I should make note of the fact that we have a list in front of us that includes, I believe, 28 names of people who have not yet requested party status. You may have filled out a form before the meeting. You have not yet requested party status, but you are within 750 feet. So if when you come up and go to the podium and identify yourself, if you are one of the people in blue, we're going to tell you you automatically get party status and you can have a seat. So with that in mind, we'll start here, and if you can go to the podium, identify yourself and your address, please.
Michelle DeBello, my husband Joe, and I live at 1419 Woodland Road. We're D-I, capital B-E-L-L-O. So you have me listed at 915 feet from the development here, the nursing home development. And the main reasons that this will adversely affect us and will harm us is there is a tremendous amount of traffic currently on Woodland Road, baseline, from the 3,000 students that commute to Penn State and the school buses and the shuttle buses that are constantly going from Rydal Station past my house. When I first built this house in 2003, I could get in the driveway, make a left, and go down Woodland Road. Now I have to sit there and wait for traffic to clear just to get out of my driveway. This development is going to bring so much more traffic to this area by way of the types of services that are going to be required. Things like trash trucks, medical waste, equipment trucks, laundry, food supplies, delivery vehicles, and I didn't even talk about the staff that's going to be coming in and out of this facility. The hazard comes at the intersection of Woodland and Valley. That's what gets stacked up when Woodland gets real busy. So when I make a left to go to work every day, it's already stacked up, 5, 6 cars across the front of this development. And I wait my turn, and then I get to the intersection, and I have to wait for Valley to clear. And the people turning left in front of me to get up to school, it's a real hazard. It takes me a really long time to get onto Valley Road. Coming home, when I make a right from Valley Road up onto Woodland, it's a blind right. It's a hard right. When you make that turn, you don't know what you're going to hit until you're on Woodland Road.
So I'm going to just interrupt you for a moment. You're indicating that one of the reasons you are seeking party status is because where you are located on 419 Woodland Road.
1419.
Excuse me?
1419.
1419,
Yep.
excuse me.
Yep.
That you believe that this development and the type of development it is will cause additional traffic concerns which will impact you at where you currently reside.
Yes, it will create a hazardous situation at that
Mr.
intersection.
McHugh, do you have any questions? And Mr. DeBello, Joseph, correct?
Yes,
You're asking for the same reasons, I assume?
correct.
Okay.
But I'm just add the issue of, we've been there for 20 years. It's an investment for us. We came to the area Because of the character of the community, the privacy of the community, this project is going to be shoehorned in a project, that is the words of the engineer of the project at the Planning Commission, and it's going to adversely affect our property value, that's what we're saving for.
Mr. McHugh, do you have any questions for Mr. or Mrs. DeBella?
No, I don't have any questions.
You'll be granted party status.
Thank you.
And Mr. Clark, if I can, just for the record, note that I have a standing objection to anybody over the 750-foot requirement.
Correct.
As not being directly aggrieved in accordance with the MPC.
Correct.
Good evening, Kim Cease. Last name is S-E-E-S-E, first name K-I-M. 1443 Woodland Road. So I am 7 homes up from this property. I am 2 homes from Michelle and Joe. So I'm not going to repeat everything that they just said. I'm going to agree with it. In addition, we're on a direct route to Abington Hospital. So while this development is being called Life Care, if somebody falls and breaks a hip, if somebody has a heart attack, somebody has a major medical event, they are going to be shipped right up to Abington Hospital. That creates additional noise, it creates additional traffic, it creates additional nuisance of ambulances, trucks, all hours of the day. People don't just have heart attacks and strokes, during normal business hours. This is 24 hours a day that we're going to be dealing with this kind of nuisance. In addition, property values. Once this thing goes on our street, there's no way it's not going to decrease our property values.
Mr. McHugh, do you have any questions for Ms. Cease?
No questions.
You'll be granted party status.
Thank you.
The next person in the front row. And, no, please come forward. And this has nothing to do with the fact that we all may want to see the first pitch this evening. If it's property values, traffic, as were mentioned by the first 2 people seeking party status, you can simply mention that without.
So, yeah, my name
Something
is-
else you want to mention, feel free.
My name is Joseph Doherty. I live at 1638 Amity Road in Rydal, so I live further up Woodland, right across from Penn State. I do think that you talk about travel on Woodland Road only, but I think you're going to have a lot more travel through the quiet neighborhoods of people cutting through to Woodland from the property. I'm a realtor in the area, I've been selling real estate in Jenkintown for 20 years, and I'm very concerned about property values and what this is going to do to all of Rydal in general, when the property values around the development will plummet, and it will be trickled down through the neighborhood.
Mr. Doherty, can you give us your address again?
1638 Amity Road, Amity.
And you did not receive notice of this hearing, correct?
I did not,
You
no.
did not? Okay. Mr. Doherty, can you give us a general idea of where Amity Road
So,
is located in relation to the
This,
subject
the
property?
the stop sign at Hampton Road and Penn State on Woodland Road, where the duck pond is. Amity Road is 2 blocks in from there. So I'm on the corner of Hampton and Amity.
Mr. McHugh, do you have any questions of Mr. Doherty? And I should tell you that I am inclined to take this one under advisement until we can determine, I'm sure everyone here knows where Amity Road is, but so we can determine exactly where it's located. So we would probably take this one under advisement.
I don't have-
Notify Mr. Doherty and you before the next hearing.
That's certainly acceptable. I don't have any questions of him, but based on where I understand Amity Road to be, I would likely be objecting as outside the proximity.
Okay.
So my only claim to the objection is that I do think the property values are going to be adversely affected by the project.
So we're going to take this one under advisement. We're not going to make a ruling right now. Mr. McHugh indicating he's going to object to you receiving party status, but we'll rule on that before the next hearing, and you'll receive notice. Second row?
My name is Roger Cohen, C-O-H-E-N. My wife and I live at 1531 Amity Road. We have lived there for 22 years. My address is 0.9 miles from the proposed project. I want to offer a complementary perspective to the traffic issue. I travel Rydal Road or Woodland Road 2 to 4 times a day, almost every single day of the week, related to my work as a physician, including travel to the train station at Rydal or the train station in Jenkintown. My wife works downtown as well and repeatedly travels the same route. Others have commented that Woodland Road is narrow, winding, and already poses significant traffic hazards, and I'm not going to dwell on those in the interest of getting out of here on time. But the proposed development must exacerbate those significantly, and it will irrevocably change the character of the neighborhood and degrade the value of my property and those of others living within a certain distance. Thank you very much.
Mr. McHugh, do you have any questions for Mr. Cohen?
No questions.
Thank you.
We'll also take this one under advisement. Second row, anyone else in the second row?
My name's Ed Troffer. I live at 1625 Amity Road. Mary Ann Boyle is here with me. She doesn't need to get up. I have the T-R-A-U-F-F-E-R. I have very similar concerns. I actually lived on Noble Road for about almost 30 years. I moved to Amity Road a year and a half ago because I wanted to get into that neighborhood. Spent a lot of money on the house. Since then, I've put over $70,000 in investments in order to improve that house, and I am strongly concerned that I'm going to lose a lot of that money. In addition to that, just to add to the traffic concerns, I can tell you just within the last week or so, I was driving down Woodland, just about where they're proposing for that new property, where the road turns very swiftly. A school bus was coming up the street, up from Valley Road, and had to go to the middle of the road in order to let a child into the bus. So I stopped. The people behind me, since it was a curve, couldn't see that the school bus was stuck there in the middle of the road. So I had to get out of my car and go back to let them know that they had to back up so I could back up so the bus can move forward. And it's only going to get significantly worse after that.
Mr. McHugh, do you have any questions for Mr. Troffer?
No questions.
We will also take this one under advisement.
Mr. Crawford, can you please fill out the form and hand it up to me?
Yeah.
Do so.
Thank you for listening to my comments. My name is Gary Lamsback, L-A-M-S-B-A-C-K. I'm here with my wife, Mary. We've been residents for 37 years. I am a board-certified internist and board-certified geriatrician at Holy Redeemer Hospital. Going to Holy Redeemer in the morning, I will not go down Woodland Road. It's not safe, and at 6 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, you really ought to call Valley Road the new Daytona 500, because that's how people fly through there. I believe that the estimates during the planning committee about the amount of staffing, from my experience as a geriatrician, grossly underestimates the number of staff that would be needed, in addition to the amount of cars that would be there. Right now, at Holy Redeemer Hospital, there are 45 open beds because they can't get staff. There are other facilities that I'll speak to later on where they can't get staff, so there's 45 beds that can't be utilized. I feel that this project will affect the traffic and my property. I'm 783 feet, so it's within very close, so I hope that you'll accept me as I requested.
Mr. McHugh, do you have any questions for Mr. Lansback?
I don't believe I got his address, though.
1441 Lewis.
He's the first in the yellow.
First, I see it now, yes.
Mr. Lansback, you will be granted party status.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? And Mr. Lansback, if you haven't already filled out a form, if you could do so. Yes.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Bruce Bach, B-A-C-H. I live at 1408 Stockton Road. I've not lived there for 35 years. I've lived there for 2 years. I am interested in these proceedings because as a resident of the township, I believe that all residents of the township have the future of the quality of life in our township as a matter of concern. I believe that this project does affect those who live more than 752 feet away, and in fact, globally affects the precedents, the value of the property. In fact, the entire environment of the area is driven when you have overdevelopment and overuse of resources and land space. I have the advantage of having lived not in Abington Township most of my life. I have lived in many cities, San Francisco, Stockholm. I've lived in many cities, and I've seen the difference between strong community-based zoning and consideration of development proposals based on intensity and impact on the long term for the community. Therefore, I believe that anyone who lives and breathes the air in Abington Township has a reasonable basis for being considered a party to this matter. I thank you for your consideration.
Mr. McHugh, do you have any questions for Mr.?
No, I have no questions.
Okay. And again, your address is 1408 Stockton Road?
That's correct. That
And we
makes me
will-
about 0.9 miles from the subject property according to Google Maps.
We'll take this under advisement.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Barnett Satinsky, S-A-T-I-N-S-K-Y. I'm here with my wife, Freda, F-R-E-D-D-A. We've been residents of 1301 School Lane, since 1979. We've raised our 3 kids there. And although I echo many of the sentiments about the traffic problems that already have been articulated, in my mind, it's more of a Le Mans than it is a Daytona. The roads are curvy. The students from Penn State, who are directly across from us on School Lane, come whizzing up and down our street, Cloverly, and Woodland all the time. It is not simply a peak issue dealing with change of staff one time of day. The students coming out from Penn State come out from 10 before the hour to 10 after the hour after hour after hour. And it is virtually impossible to get out onto Valley Road, whether one is going towards Old York Road or going towards Philmont. It's a nightmare trying to get out as things stand. The character of the community certainly will be affected by the proposed application. Ours is a neighborhood with virtually no sidewalks, with neighbors who are out each day walking in groups on the road, because that's the nature of our community. And that is going to be detrimentally affected, and of course, our property values will be detrimentally affected. I just put a $75,000 roof on because a tree came down. But I like the trees. I'm willing.
I'm going to interrupt you for a moment. I apologize. I did
Surely.
not get your last name.
S-A-T-I-N-S-K-Y.
And you were on 1301 School Lane?
That's correct.
Did you receive a written notice of
No.
this hearing? Okay. And approximately how far away are you from 1211 School Lane?
From 1211 School Lane? Half a block? Not even?
You're not showing up on any of our lists. Not sure why that happened, because 1211 School Lane is indicated as being very close to the subject property. So again, Mr. McHugh, do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions.
This is another one we're going to take under advisement because we're going to try to determine the exact location. It appears as if you may be within the 750, but if you're not, we'll take it under advisement and we'll see if Mr. McHugh will agree, but if not, we'll make a ruling on your request for party status.
Is that the position you're taking for all of School Lane? It's 2 blocks. It's 2 blocks from this property,
Okay,
from the application.
understood. But you're not on any of the lists, so that's why we're just going to confirm?
I didn't make the list.
I understand that. I didn't either. So we're just going to confirm.
Thank you.
You may throw me out already because I'm on School Lane too.
What, and your name and address, please?
Rosemary Patricelli, Patricelli, 1271. I live right next door to Mr. Satinsky.
And the reason you're seeking party status?
Well, I couldn't have said it any better than everyone before me, but I will add to the fact that I've been here almost 30 years. I bought the fixer-upper in the neighborhood, and I poured tons and tons of money into it. Why did I move there? Because of the community, because of the beauty, because of the quiet, for the most part, except for the Penn State students, because of the fact there were no pavements, because of the hundreds and hundreds of year-old trees and lots of other things. But the point of it is, there is a sense of community. People know each other for the most part, even though we don't have pavements. There's a lot of entertaining, walking around, sharing things with each other, knowing who's up the street and sick and needs some assistance, that type of thing. A very, very good, solid community. The traffic is already a problem. We deal with that with Penn State. The fact that a large-scale business is essentially going to be plopped right in the middle of this community, 2 blocks away from me, next door to other people, is a real concern.
I'm going to interrupt you for a moment.
Yes.
Did you receive notice for this hearing?
No, I don't.
Okay. Mr. McHugh, do you have any questions for Ms. Patricelli?
No, I have no questions.
Again, we're going to take this under advisement. We don't have you on our list. I know you probably didn't make up the list either. But we're going to confirm the distance that you are. We'll discuss it with Mr. McHugh, and you'll receive notice prior to the next hearing whether or not you're being granted party status.
All right, and I'll reiterate property value concerns, obviously. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yeah.
Joseph Ragg, R-A-G-G, 1440 Woodland Road. Echoing my neighbors, traffic safety and property values.
Mr. McHugh, he's approximately 970 feet from your client's property. Do you have any questions for Mr. Ragg?
I don't.
Okay, you'll be granted party status.
Mr. Ragg, do you have a form?
No, I need one.
This one right here. You wouldn't mind getting it?
That's fine.
Hi, my name is Cheryl Hurley. I live at 1405 Washington Lane. Hurly. And I live there with my husband, Jim. We've been there almost 25 years. And my concern is also the traffic, but it's also, I live on the corner of Washington and Cox, which we have cut-through traffic from Penn Staters, go up Washington Lane, go up Cox Road, to get to the school. So it's going to increase traffic around the area, and not just on Woodland, but everywhere else to cut through the neighborhood. And I have another concern. We also have a senior living facility 2 blocks away, Rydal Park and Rydal Waters. So that's my concern there. So we don't need another senior living facility.
Ms.
in the
Hurley,
area.
did you receive notice for this hearing?
Just that it was happening,
But-
from not official.
You didn't get a mailed notice from the
No.
township? And again, you're at 1405
Washington
Washington Lane? Again, you're not showing up on the list. Mr. McHugh, do you have any questions for Ms. Hurley?
I don't.
Okay, we're going to take this under advisement, and again, you'll receive notice prior to the next hearing.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Keith Reynolds, 1231 School Lane, Reynolds. I'll reiterate everyone else's concerns about property values. That's my primary concern. I'm a new resident as of only a couple months ago, so I'll forgive you all if you don't have me on your list. And yeah, although I'm a new resident, I was born and raised in this neighborhood. And am able to move back. And for the same reasons a lot of people just expressed, quiet neighborhood. So we're, quiet neighborhood, all that other good stuff. I won't go on and on. I'm primarily concerned about noise pollution, traffic, light pollution in my backyard, because this thing is right over the hill of our backyard. So we're 1231 School Lane, which is right next to, almost at the corner there. So we're right back up to that 1211 property that you mentioned earlier, in School Lane. So
And Mr. Reynolds, you're at 1231 School Lane?
1231, and I'm joined with my wife, Diane.
And you'll know the question I'm about to ask next. Did you
Did not.
receive notice for this hearing?
No, I did not.
Mr. McHugh, do you have any questions for Mr. Reynolds?
No questions.
We will take this under advisement. You will receive notice prior to the next hearing whether or not you've been granted party status.
Hello, how are you?
Good.
So I'm Tom Stone. I'm president of the Rydal Meadowbrook Civic Association. Tom Stone, president, Rydal Meadowbrook Civic Association. I believe I already have party status in that capacity. But I'm also here with my wife Suzanne and myself as residents at 1535 Woodland Road, which is at the intersection of School Lane and Woodland Road. So my concern is traffic and safety. My wife loves to walk in the neighborhood. Already, many of her friends drive over to Alverthorpe Park because they don't feel safe walking, particularly on Woodland Road. And I won't take up too much time. I just want to put one item in perspective. Woodland Road is 1.3 miles. On that road, you have at one end the largest hospital in Montgomery County. In the middle, you have the largest four-year institution of higher learning on that same 1.3 miles, and now the proposal is to put a senior health facility on that same road. It makes no sense whatsoever, 1.3 miles, to have that much density. We love the neighborhood. We've been here since 1989 for 34 years, raised 3 boys. I teach at Penn State Abington. My wife just retired from the school district. So we're longtime residents with vested interests here, and we are strongly objected to this development.
Mr. Stone, are you seeking party status as on behalf of the Civic Association or individually?
I think I already have that status, I'm informed. I'm seeking it individually from my wife and I as residents as well.
So as far as the Civic Association, that party status is granted. As far as individually, it's going to be taken under advisement. You're not showing up on our list. We want to confirm the address, look at the distance, and have some discussion with Mr. McHugh. We will have, you'll be notified prior to the next hearing. Mr. McHugh, do you have any questions for Mr. Stone?
Just one. What was the name of the Civic Association?
Rydal Meadowbrook Civic Association, and it's been representing about 250 residents of the area since the early 1950s. It's the oldest civic association in the state of Pennsylvania.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Anyone else? And I'm not sure if we have people in the hall, but
Hello, my name is Karen DePrima. This is my wife, Margaret Bess. We reside at 1538 Woodland Road. Do you need to spell the names? DePrima, capital D-I, capital P-R-I-M-A.
Bess, capital B-E-S-S.
We're relatively new to the neighborhood. We've been here for about 5 years. We had the misfortune of moving in during the pandemic, so we couldn't really reach out and do what we had wanted to do, which was throw a party for the neighborhood and announce we were there. But I can attest to the quality of the neighborhood and the neighbors because our next door neighbor braved everything and came and met us, and through her, we met many of our neighbors, and actually, ironically, through this process, we're meeting even more. It's a wonderful place to be. We have many of the same concerns that everyone else voiced. We also have put in a lot of money into our home to repair the roof, the fence, the driveway, the Bilco doors, the wiring, the fireplace. So we've invested heavily, and we would like to stay and see our property gain in value. But as of this morning, I was thinking of this meeting, and I had to leave my house. And I can tell you, without exaggeration, every time I leave my driveway, I take my life in my hands if I'm making a left-hand turn. Also, if I'm making a right-hand turn, because by the time I glance up and down the street, the traffic is zooming by me. I can't tell you how many close calls I've had. We don't need any more traffic. That's one of my other main concerns.
And Ms. Bess, is there anything you would like to add?
No, she said it all.
I do the talking.
And you are at 1538 Woodland?
Yes. Correct.
You did not receive a notice for this
No.
hearing?
We did not.
Okay. We don't have you on any of our lists. We are going to take this under advisement. We're going to find out the distance you are. We're going to discuss this with Mr. McHugh, and you will be notified prior to the next hearing whether or not you've been granted party status.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Yes.
Good evening. My name is Blythe Cease. Blythe Cease. My address is 1429 Valley Road. I believe I'm on the list. 1429 Valley Road is located on the drag strip, right at Meadowbrook, Dust Brook, the water, the runoff that we already have, the issues that we already have on Valley Road, including the traffic, not only the speed, but the immense traffic, the runoff that we have already. We've lived there for close to 15 years. We do not need additional traffic. We do not need additional runoff. I'm also going to share something new that others I don't believe had the perspective. But for close to 30 years, we lived behind Gloria Day Manor. We experienced the nightmare of having a long-term care immediately behind us, with lights, with volume of emergency vehicles and personnel at all hours of the day and the night, deliveries, food, milk, newspapers. It is not anything like anything you would ever want to impact this lovely neighborhood of Abington Township. It is a gem in the township, and to disrupt it in any way, which we know in immense ways, would not only adversely affect the values of the properties, but all of the community spirit and love and caring and giving that we have. If you look at that property right now, it's disgusting. Nothing has been done with that property.
Ms.
Totally
Cease, Ms. Cease,
disrespectful.
I want to interrupt you for a moment.
Sure.
So you're at 1429 Valley Road?
Yep.
And the reason you're requesting party status is because of traffic and
Traffic
because of the character
and
of
water
the neighborhood?
runoff. Yep,
And did you receive notice for this hearing?
I did.
You received written notice from the township as a,
Written notice, I believe I communicated with the commissioners. I communicated with Rydal neighbors. So I've been in communication now for several months.
but did you receive a notice from the township telling you of this hearing this evening? Not from your neighbors or someone else in the community, but
I don't
from
know that the township did send me anything
Okay.
as far as the communication, but I'm very much aware of it.
Mr. McHugh, do you have any questions for Ms. Cease?
I don't.
Okay, Ms. Cease, we're going to take your request for party status under advisement. We're going to review your distance from the property. We'll discuss it with Mr. McHugh, and you will be notified prior to the next hearing whether or not you've been granted party status.
Do we have the exact date of the next hearing?
We do not. We're going to discuss that at the end. We believe the next hearing is going to be on the 30th of this month. We are looking for we're confirming the location, so we're just going to continue this generally this evening, and then new notices will be sent out.
Okay, I look forward to you receiving it. Thank you.
Could you please fill out a form before you leave?
Anyone else?
How you doing tonight? Thomas Doherty, 1436 Lewis.
Okay, go ahead, please, Mr. Dodd.
Just here, public safety. Cars do fly up and down Woodland. I'm cut off of Woodland Road. I'm actually on the same block as this site. So public safety and property value.
Mr. Doherty, you're within 750 feet.
Yes, sir.
You're automatically granted party status.
Okay.
Yep.
Still fill out. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone else who is requesting party status? So we have 3 forms that were submitted, but no one has come forward, and you are not, as far as we can tell, in the area that automatically gets party status. Marilyn Nyman? Right. And you're at 1241 Cox Road? Right. Can you come to the podium, please?
Okay.
What was that address, Mike?
I'm at 1241 Cox Road. I did get the notice from the township. Nyman, N-Y-M-A-N. Did you? N is in Nancy, Y-M-A-N. And I reside there with my husband, Jeffrey Nyman. And we raised our kids there. We've been there for over 30 years. And I think everyone else has said what I have to say. The traffic on Cox Road hits Washington Lane. And for me personally, I walk by that property every day. It's my walking route. I like not having the sidewalks, and I like walking. The traffic and the congestion and safety really are a big concern to me.
Ms. Nyman, you do not appear, you are not appearing on our list. You're at 1241 Cox Road.
Mm-hmm.
And you said you did receive notice from the township?
I did, yes.
Okay. So, as you've probably heard me say, we're going to take this under advisement.
Right.
We're going to confirm your distance from the subject property. We're going to discuss this with Mr. McHugh, and you will be notified prior to the next hearing whether or not you've been granted party status.
Okay, thank you.
There is a Marion and Carl Follner. 1414 Washington Lane. Okay. Thank you. Marcos Deruda? 1419 Rydal Road.
Marcos Diaruda, D as in David E, A-R-R-U-D-A. First name is Marcos, M-A-R-C-O-S.
And your reason for seeking party status, Mr. Deruda?
Yes, I'm right by, at the corner almost of Woodland and Rydal. Right next to the proximity, I think, of the entrance of this construction, I believe. Yes.
Mr. Deruda, you are not showing up on our list. Did you receive notice?
No, I did not, no.
Okay.
I checked, I received all the
And just to
correspondence from the neighbors.
And just to confirm, you're at 1419 Rydal Road?
1419, yes.
1419, excuse me.
1419 Rydal Road.
We're going to confirm the distance from the subject property. From looking at our list, it would seem as if 1419 would be relatively close to the subject property. We'll discuss this with Mr. McHugh, and we will notify you prior to the next hearing whether or not you have been granted party status.
Very well.
Mr. McHugh, do you have any questions for Mr. Deruda?
No, I don't.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else in the room seeking party status?
There's one person outside.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Dan DeVore, D-V-O-R. I live on 1446 Rydal Road. I'm here with my wife. We have 2 kids, very young. We have a 3rd one on the way, hopefully. And we're very concerned about the traffic impact that's going to be happening on Rydal Road. We walk on there a lot, and especially with no sidewalks, we're afraid that if one of the roads around the area increase, then more cars are going to be using Rydal Road, and it might impact us.
And Mr. DeVore, did you receive notice of this hearing?
I did not.
And again, just to confirm, you're at 1446 Rydal Road?
Yes.
Okay. And you are on the list. We will discuss with Mr. McHugh. We have the distance that you are from the subject property, and you'll be notified prior to the next hearing. We're not taking it under advisement. You'll be granted party status.
Do I need to fill out anything else?
Nope.
This one?
May I approach? Has been granted. I have not. I'm under.
We have to confirm your distance.
I'm closer than he is. Okay. So I hope it's clear now that I'm closer
We'll
to the
confirm.
traffic.
We'll confirm that.
Okay.
Okay. You're not on the list, so we have to confirm.
But the house is.
I understand that.
My house
It's just-
number
it's
is
just-
closer than
It's
his
just,
house
it's
number.
just a formality. It's just a formality.
You just grant him immediately.
We're taking it under advisement. You'll be notified prior to the
But
next.
you just told him with his, I know his wife is right there. Mine is working, finishing work.
You're not on the list. We just need to confirm where you're located.
And if I have just one more second, this is an awful idea. I left Center City, where there's business, constructions all the time, traffic, noise. My wife works next door. We decided to come here with my family to a calm, beautiful neighborhood. I know my neighbors because I
Mr.
know
Clark, I
their
would object
dogs.
at this point.
Mr.
We've already
DeRuda,
gone
if you
through
could
his.
please- Mr. DeRuda,
I know-
if
I
you
know
could
that- I know
please- if you
that-
could please return to your seat.
Yeah.
You're not being denied. We just want to confirm your address and your distance from the
Certainly,
subject
but
property.
I forgot to mention something before. That's the traffic jam.
Okay, you've already mentioned that.
Thanks
You've already
so very
taken it
much.
under consideration. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Anyone else in the room?
Mr. Clark, if I could just ask regarding the people who've been agreed to for party status, the neighbors did not keep track of the list of who was submitting your official forms to you tonight in contrast to what we submitted previously. So if we can ask that you email the Rydal neighbors email with the list of not only the people who've been approved, but anyone who's been approved for whom you did not get an additional form, since we did call off many people tonight, to make sure that you get the appropriate forms before the next meeting.
We will be able to do that. We've received several requests for party status, I think approximately 20, prior to tonight, from people who are within 750 feet. Obviously, those have been granted, and they do not need to be present tonight. And if they haven't filled out the form tonight, that's fine. We'd ask that they do it prior to the next hearing. We have those who have been granted tonight. We have their forms. And then in addition to that, we have those who we're taking under advisement. Once decisions are made on all of those, we'll let everyone know who the parties are going to be, because all communications will now start going to all members who received party status. So, and that'll be the way you'll be able to tell who's been granted party status.
So I just want to clarify. If someone is already on the approved list between the township and Mr. McHugh, but they were called off for tonight, so they were not here, if you do not receive a form for them prior to the next meeting, will you still consider them as having party status?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, and you should ask about the people on Zoom. Mr. Bello was asking about the people on Zoom.
We're going to get to them as soon as we're done in the room, but we have another hand in the back.
You have to come up. You have to come up.
I'm Ina Renrick, 1429 Doral Road. I already, sure, RENWRICK. I'm sorry. I already have party status, but I have a question. You said that you and the applicant's attorney will make a determination as to whether party status will be granted. If it is not granted, what happens? Is there any recourse to that?
Anyone who's not granted party status has the right to appeal the decision of the board.
To whom? To the board? I mean, where do you appeal it to?
You have a right to appeal to the Montgomery County Court of Common
Oh,
Pleas
so you
if
gotta go
believe
through
that
that.
you've
Oh,
been
okay.
aggrieved by the decision of the board.
Got it. Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the room? Is there anyone online who is requesting party status? My eyesight, I can't see any of those things.
Eric Roberts, your microphone is unmuted.
This is Eric Roberts. I live at 1404 Lewis Road with my husband, Zig Pines. We are, I think, pretty sure we're within distance of the property. I'm not going to reiterate or repeat the things that have been said already, but it will irreparably do damage and harm in our neighborhood and to our property values, as other people have suggested.
Mr.
But
Roberts,
the
you
traffic.
have already been granted party status by virtue of your distance from the subject property.
Thank you.
Next thing.
Ray Lynch, your microphone has been unmuted.
Hi, this is actually Ray's wife, Lisa. I think we were covered because we turned in a form prior to the meeting, but I do want to make sure that we've done everything we need to do to be considered a party.
Can you give us your address, please?
Sure, it's 1311 Meadowbrook Court.
And can you give us your address again?
Sure, it's 1311 Meadowbrook Court.
Can you give me an approximate how far you are away from 1331 Meadowbrook Court?
Not much at all. Let's just say that the 5 houses in that cul-de-sac are right on top of one another. And 2 of the houses were on your list as being parties, and then 3 of us were not. But we're literally right on top of one another.
It appears from the address and from the other addresses that you were well within the 750. You are not appearing on our list. We will confirm your distance from the subject property, and you will be notified prior to the next hearing whether or not you have been granted party status.
Thank you.
There are no additional hands raised on Zoom.
There's no one else online?
There's
no one
no
else in the room? No. This is about party status. Is there anyone else in the hall or anywhere who is asking for party status? President Hecker, we have now gone through all the list of individuals who are seeking party status. As discussed with Mr. McHugh prior to the hearing, we would not be taking any testimony this evening. While we believe that the next date will be October 30th at 6:30 p.m., we have not yet confirmed a location. Because we are not able to continue this to a date, time, and location certain, we will need to re-advertise. We will post it on the township website, and everyone who has been granted party status either tonight or after discussions and confirmation regarding locations of certain properties, they will receive a specific notice from the township and or from my office. So right now, unless there is any further business from the board, it would be appropriate to recess this hearing this evening to a date to be determined, a date, time, and location to be determined.
Manager Manfredi.
I know the tentative date is October 30th, but President Hecker, you've been fairly insistent that the Zoom option is mandatory. So we will test all locations, but if the Zoom option is not possible at a location, a date has to alter. I think it's helpful for everyone to understand that October 30th is the tentative date. Since we're not mentioning a date, time, and location certain, and we're advertising anyway, we just want to let everyone know that October 30th is the tentative date, and we believe we'll have a location, but we need to verify the Zoom option because I know that was a criteria of yours.
Go ahead, Mr. Clark.
Yeah, we're going to, as discussed with President Hecker prior, having the Zoom option for those who either have party status or those who just want to be able to observe is a priority. And every location that we are looking at with an eye towards making sure that there is a Zoom option. So the 30th is the date we are shooting for. But if we are unable to find a location that has the capability of Zoom, we may have to move that to another date. But In any event, the next date will be advertised, it'll be posted on the website, and everyone who has party status will receive notice. Now, you've all written your email addresses down on these forms, and many of you have very lovely penmanship. If in the next week or so you don't get a notice, it might be because we're mistaking an I for a J or something along those lines. So just be advised to keep an eye on the township website. So with that, if you can recess the hearing now.
Thank you.
President Hacker.
Thank you, Solicitor Clark. We will recess the meeting now until such time that we find a location that accommodates both in-person participation and Zoom.